What's up, everybody? Can you hear me with this microphone? Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Can you hear me? How's it going? Hopefully, everybody's doing well. Let's see. Um, who the heck? Hello, Albert. Can you hear me with this? I'm using a new microphone. I just want to make sure you can hear me. Um, so, somebody let me know if you can hear me. Hello, hello, hello. Yes, all right, excellent. So, welcome to the Saturday. I said I'd do it weekly, so here I am. Does it sound good with this microphone? I just pulled this out of the closet again. I bought this microphone years ago when I was doing the Jeep videos, and it screwed up one time so that my Jeep video ended up I had to do the whole voiceover after I was done with the video. So I put it away and haven't pulled it out. So yeah, it's fine. Sounds great. Excellent. Well, I'm outside today. I'm getting ready to actually work on a project. So I figured I'd just do this live thing while I was. Hey, Warp Legacy, how you doing? Did you build your roundhouse yet? Um, I figured I'd just answer some questions while I was getting ready here. I'm doing. I'm gonna work on that feather pattern Damascus. Hello, Penny Brown. Oh, Penny, you missed it last week, so welcome. Glad you're here. Um, yeah, I got the Patreon up and running this week. If you guys missed that punch video, and today I'm actually this is the first video that I'm going to focus on doing something special for the Patreon subscribers. So if you missed that whole video, the whole explanation behind that was with YouTube doing everything they're doing with the AdSense and all that. I mean, the YouTube creators are not making diddly anymore, or a lot of us aren't, anyways. I was doing okay. I was making enough to make it justifiable. 80 bucks a month maybe to justify doing videos. And now I'm down to 30 bucks a month if I'm lucky. And it's like, well, what's the point? I mean, I like making them, but I also like to, have a little something for my effort. So I've had this Patreon account since my Jeep days, and I thought I just saw Chandler do it, and I signed up, and I became a Patreon subscriber for Chandler Dickinson. And I thought I'm gonna look into mine again. But what can I offer? What can I do? How can I make it special that someone's gonna want to go spend $1 a month or whatever um, to watch me? And I think I came up with that. So, like this feather pattern Damascus, I'm gonna do a normal 15, 20 minute video on the Damascus like I do for YouTube. And you can watch that all day long to your heart's content. And then I'm going to do an extended one for Patreon. I'm going to go over every single thought that's going on in my head. I'm just going to leave the camera rolling. And when I edit the video together for Patreon, it might be an hour, it might be 2 hours. It's however long it's going to be. Um, as I go through everything, every thought process, every little problem I encounter, instead of skipping over a ton of stuff. I'll go over why I'm grinding it like that and doing this and that, and a lot of stuff that I normally skip over in the other videos. So I figured that would be good. And then someone on the punch video said, "Hey, can you make a heart punch? I've heard people talk about them, but I've never done that." And in my head, I'm like, "Well, I've never made a heart punch. I wonder how I'd do that." And I started contemplating some different ways of how I would make a heart punch. And I thought it would be fun to do a video on how to make a heart punch. Then it would also be fun to do a video on all of the ways that I've contemplated doing a heart punch. And at the end, could compare, contrast, see which one's better, see which one works better, see which one was the easiest, that kind of thing. Um, and I'll do that for the Patreon. So I'll just do like, one technique, the easiest technique, I guess, for the YouTube, and then I'll do all the expanded techniques that I can come up with. And whether they work, whether they fail, we'll just try a bunch of different ways of doing it with the tools that I have available to me. And that might be cool. That might be a fun way. But then I'm going to have all these punches at the end. And so, what am I going to do with 3 or 4 or 5 heart punches? I don't know. How about giving them away to the Patreon subscribers? So, that'd be cool. And I can just see, I can envision. Hey, John Coffee, how you doing? I can just see that becoming, a really cool way to give some stuff away, to get some extra knowledge out. If enough people come on board and will spend $1, um, it makes up for everything that YouTube's doing. And then, You know, the people that just want to watch the free ones, you got the free ones. If you want to spend $1, you spend $1. Some folks are spending more than $1, and I really appreciate that. So, it's all good, and I'm not gonna change anything on YouTube. The only thing I might start doing is if you watch YouTube with your ad blocker on. The way a YouTube creator makes a couple of pennies on each video is if you watch that stupid ad at the beginning of the video. I know, I hate them too, but that's how YouTube creators make their money. YouTube gets a chunk, and the creator gets a bigger chunk. The creator actually gets a higher percentage. So that's how a YouTube creator makes his money. So, you know, every few thousand subscribers, I'll make a couple of cents, and you get to 100 videos or 130 or whatever I'm at, you know, you can make a couple of bucks every month. And that just sort of, it's nowhere near enough to live on. It might get me a pizza at the end of the month, but, you know, it's a little bit, and it's enough to make you feel like you're doing something worthwhile and having fun with it. So, how deep is the snow? It's not too bad. I've got, I don't know, there's probably 6-8 inches out in the yard right now. We had a big thaw a couple of weeks ago, which was really cool. And like, I was getting ready to climb up on the roof and shovel snow. And I mean, it was a bad December and early January. And then we had that thaw where it it all went away, and it was really nice. A bunch of winter events got canceled here, snowmobiling events, and snowshoeing events, cross-country ski events that are, you know, they put them on every year. I live in northern Michigan. How often at the end of January, beginning of February, do we ever have to worry about no snow? Well, this year all these events got canceled. So, as someone who hates winter, hello from Germany. As someone who hates winter, I don't mind at all. In fact, my wife and I are talking about leaving northern Michigan after my oldest kids get out of high school and moving down to like Tennessee or somewhere where winters are not quite so rough. So if anyone's from Tennessee, hey, maybe in a couple years I'll see you. So I was asked, how deep is my fire pot? I used a brake rotor for my fire pot. So how deep is that? 2.5, 3 inches? You know what? I'm outside. Here, we can go take a look at it, maybe. No snow in England. Well, thanks for rubbing that in my face. All right, can I turn? See, here's the problem with me in live video. Here's my forge. I get a lot of questions about the forge and how I built it. This whole table is just shelves, metal shelves I got from work. They were throwing them away, and I turned them upside down, welded them together, cut a hole in it, and boom, there was the table for my forge. My fire pot is buried, but it's just a brake rotor, and then I welded some bars across to work as you know, a grate to keep the coal from falling down. But that's it. Here, can I get a picture from underneath? Let's see. Sorry for shaking you around. So yeah, here's underneath. There's the brake rotor coming down to the plumbing, and that's it. I've got, this is all like furnace cement, the high temp stuff I bought from Menards. I don't remember what it's called. Fireplace refractory or something like that. And that's that. Oh, and there's all the snow. See, we don't have a ton right now, but let's see. I saw a question flash by. Does the smoke? Okay, yeah, let's see if I can do this. I went back and watched the video from last week, and here, let me turn the camera around. Yeah, I had it. And I saw my finger going, oh, look at that. I'm scrolling through the message. So I'm going to try better to not do that. Come to Missouri, doesn't snow that much. Yeah, anywhere down south. Used to use an anthracite. Yes, I still use anthracite. I don't have a source for cheap bituminous coal. And I'm so used to the anthracite now. Even, I've got a bucket of bituminous coal over there. Which once in a while I pull it out just so I can remember how to use it, because it does behave quite differently. But I don't go out of my way to get it anymore because it's too expensive. Springfield, Missouri, no snow. Billy, I'll trade you. You come live here, I'll go live down there. Trade you. Does the small coal smoke a lot? But anthracite does not smoke hardly at all. That's another great reason to use it where I live because I've got neighbors on either side of me and right across the street from me, and that just makes it that much nicer. Bituminous coal, does smoke quite a bit till it catches. Once it's going, it's a little better, but it does smoke quite a bit. So, yeah, I use the same setup. Works fine. Yep. Yeah, so you're using the anthracite too, Billy? So I do have that propane forge that I'll pull out once in a while, but is there any other questions that I missed? I'm sorry if I'm... I don't think I missed any other ones. Okay. Cool Baines. Is it easy to forge weld in? I just bought anthracite here and tried it out today, and it smokes like hell. Really? You must not be getting enough airflow or something, because the anthracite is a cleaner, it's a harder coal. There's less impurities in it to smoke, which is the thing. That's why it acts different than the bituminous that cokes up. Once you're burning coke, it doesn't, it's not supposed to smoke as much. So I would say check your airflow and make sure you got that going well, and then make sure you really have anthracite. I know there's different levels, different coals between bituminous, the soft coal, and the anthracite, the hard coal, but I wouldn't know what they are. So, but I mean, my anthracite that I get here in the States has never smoked. I've never had any problem with that. Anthracite, excellent, Richard. Thank you. What's coming next on your channel, County Line Forges? Today I'm actually outside setting up, getting ready to do a feather pattern Damascus. So that's going to be the next one. I've never done feather pattern Damascus, so it's going to be a little bit of a feeling out process. Peapoddy 1 has a video where he does it, and it's going to be very similar to his video, because I went and I looked at videos, I've read a lot of stuff, and I've been trying to figure out how does this all work. And short of having the press to actually put together some kind of mosaic, which you then cut and do the feather pattern in, this is all going to be pretty straight and what I can accomplish with my tools. So half the people here are from Roy's live streams. That's awesome. No, it's a community, man. Everybody that's watching, if you do any kind of blacksmithing work, I say make a video and start sharing with it, because it's all one community. We're going to share knowledge. This is all a learning process. I've been doing it for a few years, so I've learned maybe a little bit more than the guy that's only been doing it for 6 months, but I haven't learned as much as the guy that's been doing it for 6 years. And so, I mean, if we can all just stay together and band together and be a community and share videos, and I learn the most from videos where people aren't scared to show where they fail. That's why I like Chandler so much, because he's not afraid to show when he screws something up, when something doesn't work. I'm going to try this. If it works, it works. If not, it doesn't. And he's not afraid. And we all learn something from that. And so I love those videos. So even if you've never forged anything else, all you're using is some charcoal and a brake drum and a railroad track anvil, and boom, take a video of it and let us see what you're doing. Be a part of the community. Join in, have some fun, and get to know everybody. That's what it's all about. We're all one big family here of people that like blacksmithing. Anthracite, so it's not good for a hand crank. No, anthracite does not work with a hand crank well. You have to figure out a way to keep the air flowing, depending on your setup. If you've got a hand crank, it's got a hole somewhere in there to suck the air in. So if you can get air blowing into that, you can keep a constant airflow. And if you set it up right, then you can use the hand crank to increase that airflow and get it up to higher temperatures. Here, hang on just a second, I'll be right back. Oy, oy, oy. All right, so a buddy gave me this, and this is where the airflow would go in for this Kennedy Auto Chicago Heights something blower. Actually, while I've got this, if anybody knows where I can find a gearbox for this particular blower, I would love it. My buddy gave me this, and I can't do anything with it because I need the gearbox that has all the gearing, so you hook the handle up to it, and that way. But if you can set it up so you've got an airflow blowing into that, it's going to go out into your anthracite and keep it lit, and then you could just crank it to build the heat up when you wanted to. And that's one way you could do it. I think Chandler does it that way. Oh, that puppy's heavy. All right. Here we go. I've been missing questions. Sorry about that. I use bituminous. Man, how many did I miss? Okay, not good for a hand crank. Make some anthracite with a bit of coal to make it go further. Yep, that's a great way to do it. I use bituminous, or however it gets spelled. It's the only kind I can get here. Perfect. I wish I could get that up here easily. I can get it. I just have to get it shipped in. I think I'll pimp up my hand crank. Excellent. Sweet. I'm out doing some. Got some inspiration for your from your Twisted Damascus videos, County Line Forge. Excellent. Well, cool. That's what it's all about. I'll do my best to inspire you, and you inspire me. It's like I say, one big happy family. What's the first thing I ever forged? First thing I ever forged was subscribe to my channel. Then, ha 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 ha. I will, absolutely. If you don't see me, come and subscribe today. I'm outside right now getting ready to forge, but I'll do it tonight. So drop me an actual real comment in a video, because these comments during the live stuff disappear, so I won't see it. But drop me a comment to remind me, and I absolutely will. I'd like to sign up for everybody. First thing I ever forged, my whole reason for getting into forging was because I wanted to learn how to do pattern welded steel, Damascus knives, that kind of thing. And so the first thing I ever tried was to see if I could actually weld some steel together. So it wasn't actually a thing. It was just a couple of pieces of scrap. I think it was old leaf spring, probably from my Jeep, and I heated it up and smashed it together, and it didn't stick. And then I thought, well, I didn't get it hot enough, heated it up again, smashed it together, and it stuck. And ever since then, I've been hooked. The actual first real thing that I forged was an S-hook, and then a wall hook, and then after a few hooks, I was getting cocky, and I forged a spatula. And it was the biggest, ugliest spatula that anyone has ever seen. I drew it out. It was from a 3/4 bar. I drew that spatula head out. Rather than taking some flat steel and just riveting it on, I stretched out the head of the spatula. And it was, I still use it to this day. I love that spatula, but it is ugly. I get my coal from Tractor Supply, if that helps anyone. That's exactly where I get it. If Tractor Supply doesn't, there's some other like farm and home stores around that are my second and third choices, but it's all the same stuff. It's heating coal, basically. Yes, get out there and do it. It's fun. Absolutely. Warped Legacy. I get coal at Sofa. That's great. If you can go to any of the events that any of the communities do in Michigan, we've got the Michigan area of blacksmiths. Artists, is that what it is? M-A-B-A. If you can go to any of their events, I know they sell the bituminous coal relatively inexpensively. Anthracite is still cheaper, but so that's in Michigan. Sofa, I think that's down in Ohio, right? But yeah, any blacksmithing community event, you can probably find coal. I love Chandler. I learned a lot from him and you and Roy. Yeah, Roy's great too. I'm impressed by your work, by the way. Doing that Damascus all by hand is crazy. It just takes practice and learning what you can do to the steel easily. It didn't start out easy. I mean, it's not easy today, but it started out almost... I was doing things that I never should have tried because I didn't have anyone to say, don't try it. But I did learn quickly. I can't do it. So any vids I make would be for my eyes only, Penny Brown. No, you're starting out, but you know how many other people are just starting out that could learn a ton from how you're doing it. If you make a mistake, Penny, you make a mistake. And there may be people that say, oh, you're doing it all wrong, you can't do it that way. But there's going to be just as many people that are just starting out that are going to make the same mistake if they don't see you make it and have someone say, oh, don't do it like this, because that's not going to work. A lot of us, I'm all self-taught. I didn't have someone that I could call master and apprentice under them, or teacher or anything. I've got a few guys that I do sort of consider mentors now, but it wasn't until I'd been smashing some steel for a while that I really got to know them and started to learn from them. So, I mean, I feel like I'm self-taught for 95, 98% of what I know. And that's why I do the videos, because I don't have any apprentice either. I don't have enough knowledge to have an apprentice, but I feel like I've got enough to be able to offer somebody something, and so that's why I do the videos. And it doesn't matter, even if it's your first video. Um, Someone's going to learn from it. Sell it to me, please, John Coffey. Are you talking to me, John? Do you want me to sell you something, or are you talking to somebody else? Because I'm not sure. Yeah, I'm going to do vids. Just do it. Mess ups and all. Yep, absolutely, Billy. Yeah, I mean, that's what it's all about. And the more, like I say, I learn from seeing how people try things, because you're going to try doing something different than I do it, and maybe your way will work better. This whole I forgot who was going on about the rounding hammer and how it started. Someone had a video out just the other day about rounding hammers, and he was like, well, these are called turning hammers, and they started with farrier work, and they serve a very specific purpose, and he was very adamant about that. Now, I don't think he was trying to hate on Brian Brazil, who kind of pioneered the whole use the rounding side of the hammer to draw your steel out. I don't think he was hating on Brian, but I mean, it certainly sounded like, I don't know, he was kind of acting very purist in some ways. Yeah, that's all I'm going to say. But without Brian sitting there, Brian Brazil got his knowledge from hitting a piece of steel with a hammer and seeing how it moved, and then he hit it differently. That's all how it moved. And he took these notes, and he did all this work, and figured out the best way for him to draw out steel. And it's a great way. I do it a lot. I use that rounding die on the hammer on the edge of the anvil a ton. And if it wasn't for Brian Brazil, like, kind of pioneering that idea, we'd still be drawing out over the horn. Everybody would. And it's still a viable way to do it. It's not like the way Brian does it is the only way or the best way. It's just a good way. It works for him. And there's other good ways. But it takes people trying different things. And so even though you're brand new, because you're not taught by a master who says this is the way you have to do it or else, you're going to try things even though you don't intend to. And it might be better than the way some of the us are doing it. So it's really cool. I'm building a coal forge right now, and I'm using a brake drum. It's about 4 inches deep. Is that too deep? If you can get your hands on a rotor, I would suggest the rotor. I started out with a brake drum, and it just wasn't real friendly. I had to use refractory cement to build up the sides a lot more than I do on the brake rotor. And I get plenty hot with the rotor. It's plenty deep enough. You're not going to be working huge billets in it, but if you're doing everything by hand, you're not going to be working huge billets anyways. Thanks, great tip for that. Maybe I'll try to mortise my hand crank. It's actually not a hand crank, it's a foot treadle thing. Oh, cool. Yeah, anything works. I mean, be creative. That's the one thing about this whole community, is people are creative problem solvers. I wish I could set up my forge back by my apartment. Frowns on it. Yeah, that's the problem. Especially with the coal forges. I mean, maybe some of them would be cool with propane, maybe? Woohoo, finally caught a live stream. Glad you're here, Mark. Thank you. Hey, Ben, just saw that comment. Do you have a wall for all of your firsts? No, I am not a sentimental kind of guy. So my first knife, my first Damascus knife, I have no idea where that is. My first Damascus knife, my mother owns. And I gave that to her specifically because I know it's kind of morbid, but someday I will get that back, right? And so it will stay in the family. Other than that, I'm not sentimental about my firsts. I've thrown plenty of firsts away. I've given them away. I'm not that kind of guy. I don't hang on to stuff because it doesn't mean anything to me. If I can do a first, I can do a second, and I can do a better. And then I can do a third and do it better. And that's just me. Some people are sentimental. I'm not. In fact, that great big 16-inch wakizashi type thing is the one that got me an interview with somebody, which shall remain nameless. And someone said, "Oh, you need to hang on to that. That's what, you're going to cross a level and you're going to get..." No. It's, I sold it. It's gone. What about a website to get tools? I make 95% of my own tools, 99% of my own tools. The ones I do buy, I I might buy something from Harbor Freight, and if it works the way it is. But for pliers and things like that, yeah, I'll go buy those. But for all my tongs, for all my punches, um, anything that I'm using within the smithing, um, I've bought it all. I'd love to be able to go find someplace affordable. But again, I'm so cheap. I don't make any money. I work in radio. For treacle, may work since it frees up your hands to forge. That's cool. Yeah, Sofa's in Ohio. Yep. I guess I know a lot of people that say they're going to Sofa, and I keep thinking I'm not that far. I mean, I'm probably a 4 or 5 hour drive from it, but I thought it might be fun to go there some year. It's good to learn from your own mistakes, better to learn from someone else's. Wise words. Wise words. Any info is helpful. The blower you were flashing. John Coffey. Well, I was kind of hoping to keep it and fix it. It's not. It's only that blower part. It's missing the whole gearbox and all of that, and that's sort of why it's sitting on my floor, and I haven't figured out a way to hook it up to my forge. I would sort of like one, especially to go out and do live demos. So, I don't know. Get a hold of me off the air. We can talk about it, because I also don't want it just sitting here collecting dust, and I don't know if I'll ever be able to find a gearbox for it. Daniel Moss was it. Daniel Moss had the video on the turning hammers. Yeah, there you go. And a great video. Daniel has some fantastic videos. I've learned a lot from watching his videos. That particular one, I don't know what he was trying to say. It was sort of like, I understand about remembering the history of the craft, of where things came from. But you also have to accept that, hey, even though this has been going on for thousands of years, there are people still doing it that are coming up with new ideas to do things. So that doesn't mean that a rounding hammer / turning hammer is, I didn't get that he was trying to say that's the only thing you can use it for, though, but I sort of did. And so, I don't know. I say use what works. If the rounding hammer works best for you, use it. If a straight peen works, cross peen, angled peen, ball peen, mini sledge, a rock, whatever works best for you, use it. I've never been big on the whole labels thing. That's why I watch you for the explosions. Okay. The pallet better be on fire. Honestly, half the time I try things because people say I can't. That's why I got into the old Jeeps. Tell you why HOJ Forge was born. Heap of Jeep Forge, because the first Jeep I bought for $1,000, they said, you can never fix that. That'll never get on the road. And I said, screw you. And I drove that Jeep for 5 years after they said, you'll never get it fixed up. And it's the whole reason why I buy old Jeeps now and fix them up, and why I had that pile of Jeep parts that ultimately led to forging. In Germany, blacksmiths used to draw it over the edge for ages because we only had the hornless anvils. Yeah, see, there you go. I mean, there's no right or wrong. Do what works for you. Try a bunch of different ways. No, I mean, try it over the edge with a rounding hammer if you have the chance. Try it over the bick with a rounding hammer. Try it with a forge press if you have a forge press. BTB presents. All right, brother. Have a great afternoon. Thank you for stopping by. I keep my first just so I can see how much I have improved over time, not really for sentimental value. Yeah, that's a great way. I take a lot of pictures. I take pictures of all my firsts, and I'll throw them up on Facebook and wherever. So, I've always got the pictures to go back to. But, yeah, actually keeping the item, I don't have enough space around here. I've got 6 kids. I can't do that. Whoa, camera's going. Hit the channel just, okay. Plus, like people poking you a stick. Okay, yeah, true. Oh, did I make it to the end of the comments? Hey, there we go. Whoo! So, we've been going half an hour, and I've got some feather pattern Damascus to do. So, if you're late joining, I'll tell you again, the whole reason I set up the Patreon account was to be able to offer some longer videos. YouTube is I look at the metrics for the audience, and it's one of those, they'll watch 7-8 minutes and then they're gone. And so, I've got to get the bulk of the video, the most interesting stuff in that 7 or 8 minutes. And then they usually stretch on to, usually 15-20 minutes with all the finishing work. But but there are some people that say you need to go into more detail. It's like, well, when I put the hour-long videos up, I get a ton of complaints, and I get a lot of compliments on it too. But it's like there ought to be a way to do both, and that's how Patreon works. For $1, you can go sign up for Patreon, and you'll get the long, hour-long, 2-hour-long, however long they are, videos where I'm going through everything that's going through my mind, why I do every single step. And then I'll put the shorter ones on YouTube, and if you like the shorter ones, boom, you got YouTube. If you like the longer ones, you got the Patreon, right? Have you had any noise complaints? No, I've got pretty cool neighbors. But I've done a ton to quiet my Anvil. For the longest time, that railroad track Anvil that I used when I first started, that was loud. I didn't have the knowledge to know how to quiet that down. Then I moved on to that Vulcan, which is a cast iron anvil. And that was just a dull thud because it's cast iron with the steel top. And that one worked great for neighbors. This one, this Trenton that I'm using now, I've got a chain around it. I've got magnets on it. I've got it secured to a pretty solid wood base sitting on a layer of silicone. So it's like cushioning it. I mean, I've done every trick that I could find on how to quiet an anvil. And, there's no ring on it whatsoever. And that, as long as I don't do it too late, they never complain. Get to work. Time's up. X was video soon. County Line Forge. Go have fun. Forge up some cool stuff. So how do you deal? So how'd I deal what? With the noise complaints? I just forge during the day. I have a Harbor Freight anvil, pretty flat horn. I need to reshape. Harbor Freight anvils. I mean, that'll get you started. And reshape it if you want. The one thing I say about the Harbor Freight anvils is I don't encourage people to spend time or money on those because you quickly realize I want something better. They're great to get people started. I've never been one to say, don't buy that Harbor Freight, you'll be sorry. Go spend a few bucks and get started blacksmithing, and then you realize, this is important, but that's not so important, or so you figure it out. So yeah, I mean, you want to take the time to reshape the horn? Reshape the horn. I'm not going to tell you not to. Go have fun. Whatever's going to make you have more fun and be more efficient and keep you forging, that's all that matters. What are they going to do? You have fire. Oh, yeah. I did have a coworker was driving by. They didn't quite know where I lived, but they saw someone out in the driveway forging, and they pulled in, and it was late at night one night, and they pulled in and walked up the driveway. And I'm sitting there, I don't remember what I was forging, but a big long something, and I'm smacking it. And they came up and said hi, and it freaked me out. And normally I carry a gun, but like when I'm home, I don't carry when I'm home. I don't care. But I mean, that was the first thing I reached. It's like, damn, I'm not carrying. And so I had this big long red hot poker thing in my hand, and let's just say I scared them quite a bit after they scared me. Working on a Wrangler at the moment. Hey, so am I. Well, no, it's in the snow, but it's getting ready. This one's going to be on the road. Let me turn the camera around. This is my current Jeep project. I had to redo the whole frame in the back there, and I did that right as the snow started falling. Shepherd's Forge, how you doing, Heath? Good to see you, man. And I did that. I've got a little body work to do. I've got all new panels to put on, but I was worried about the frame first, so I got that done and started on the body mounts. And then the snow started falling, and it got too cold, and I decided I was too much of a wimp, and I wasn't going to work on it, and so that's where it sits. But this spring, I'm hoping to have it on the road. This will be on the road in about 20 minutes. Yeah. Maybe 20 minutes of video time, right? Closest thing to a real lightsaber, glowing silver. Yes, it is. They always say under the horn or at the base is the best. Yeah, see, you try your own stuff, Ben, and see what works best for you. Don't do what I say is the best. Don't do what Chandler says is the best. Don't do what Alex Steele says is the best. Try them all. And then you have the knowledge, and you can say, this one is the best for me. Okay, I tried that, and that's what works best for me. Perfect. See, there you go. Awesome. And then don't be afraid to try other new things as well. Once you have the best, 3 months from now, try some other stuff again and see if maybe your hammering technique changed just a little bit, um, and and a different way will be best for you, or maybe that will always be the best way for you. Just don't get so set and so stuck in your mind that you say this is the only way I will ever do it because this is the best, because you might miss out on something better if you do that. Anyways, 35 minutes, guys. I gotta go. I gotta get this forge fired up and get to forging and start making the other videos for the feather pattern Damascus. Um, I'm thinking as I start digging out some of the old equipment, I may start trying to do some live forging videos. All I've got is my iPhone, so I don't know how I can make that work. My regular video camera doesn't won't sync up with my computer. There's no video output for that. I've got to put it all on a memory card. So I've either got to invest in some much better equipment so I can get some different camera angles for live streams and stuff. So there's close-ups and then when I'm talking and whatnot. But yeah, I'm not there yet. So we'll see if I can make it work with the little iPhone here. I will. Otherwise, just normal videos, right? So. Thank you, everybody. I will talk to you next week if everybody wants to do it again. I'll plan for next Saturday as well. And thank everybody for stopping by. And someone else is going to be doing a live video today, so go be part of the community and jump on everyone else's. So thank you, John Coffey. Thank you, Penny. Thank you, Warp Legacy. Thank you, Shepherd's Forge. Thank you, everybody. I'll see you next time. And I have no idea how to end this video. All right, see ya. I think I got it.